Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. And I have a message here for all the ladies who enjoy playing football. Pack up your bags, put your kit away. It's finished. It's over. There is no more ladies football. The Arsenal ladies team, it will be disbanded. The local teams that play on a park on a Saturday morning, they can go too. Girls football in schools is a thing of the past. It's all gone. It's all gone. No more ladies football. It's finished. And who's stopping it? Well, the FA, of course. The FA, FIFA, have now said that, really, girls, no place for girls playing football anymore. Girls football will now be boys football. Let's have a look at this article. Seriously. So, self-identify in whatever category you choose. As FIFA push to make it easier for trans players, experts fear it could spell the end of female football, with the body to align with inclusion in sport splitting debate. FIFA's draft framework removes testosterone threshold for transgender women. Regulations are in consultation stage and some senior figures are not convinced. It will be a radical development if the body were to align themselves so strongly. Sports scientists have expressed concern over the impact of FIFA's proposals. Yeah, so now what they're saying is there's no limitation whatsoever on what being a woman is, which means I, as a man, can just turn up, say I'm a woman, and play as a woman. Good luck, girls. You're about to be taught a lesson on what football is. So the ruling body's draft framework has removed its testosterone threshold for transgender women and proposed that footballers should be allowed to compete as their self-identified gender. The thing is, and I've mentioned this before many times, the testosterone is a white flag. It doesn't mean anything. It's meaningless. What your current testosterone level is has no effect at all on how good or big or strong you are, because if you've gone through male puberty, that's it. The new regulations are still at the consultation stage, and it's understood that some members of FIFA's senior management are unconvinced that they should be published in their current form. But it would represent a radical development if the ruling body of the most popular global sport align themselves so strongly with the transgender inclusion in the debate that has split sport. Yeah, and what they're forgetting is it's a tiny minority of mentally ill people that are pushing this. If they choose to do and go down the line they have chosen, that's their call. They must know that sport has got to be closed to them against women. Cycling's ruling body, the UCI, and I did a video about this, last week tightened their eligibility criteria for the female category, having been sparked into a review by the case of the British trans cyclist Emily Bridges. The UCI lowered the testosterone limit from 5 to 2.5 nanomoles per litre and doubled the length of time a trans athlete must suppress his testosterone to within this range for 2 years. Doesn't stop them negating their male puberty. FIFA, however, following an internal review that began in 2020, have dropped their old limit of 5 nanomoles over 12 months and recommended that no threshold is adopted. Now that means that, let's say, an 18-year-old park player, not good enough to play professionally, he's just not good enough. But he can go and play in a ladies team and do ever so well and score lots of goals and be their top player. Maybe get picked up by the Arsenal ladies team. They have proposed that a transgender woman should not be allowed to compete in the female category if she has retained a competitive advantage as a result of male puberty. But how would that be determined? And it's unclear. But a panel of independent experts from the fields of medicine, psychology, law and human rights would be called to assess each individual case. Well, no, you don't need to assess each individual case. If a man has gone through male puberty, he's a man. And it doesn't matter what he chops or sticks in him, he's a man. The guideline covers footballers with differences in sexual development as well as transgender athletes. There's no such thing as transgender athletes, there's men and women. Human rights experts welcomed the prospect of a set of regulations that would appear to closely follow the precedent laid down by the International Olympic Committee. They published a framework for transgender inclusion last year that also dropped their recommended testosterone threshold. In other words, all of sport now, FIFA, the IOC, these are big, big bodies in sport. And they're basically saying, hey, women, get off our field. You're not wanted. You're not needed. Men are better than you. That's the direction of travel here. However, sports scientists, many of whom have criticised the IOC framework, have also expressed their concern over the potential impact of FIFA's proposals. Professor Jürgen Steinecker, to apologise, the chair of World Rowing's Sports Medicine Commission, warned that they could effectively dissolve the female category by allowing players to self-identify into it. And to assess each case individually and in a holistic manner sounds good, but it's difficult to see how the independent panel could operate without criteria, said Steinecker, who helped to draw up the World Rowing Guidelines for transgender and DSD athletes. As it stands, the proposed regulation sounds arbitrary. Experts are asked to refrain from using fixed thresholds for testosterone and other medical indicators. So, can they use them or not? If you are allowed to self-identify and your suitability is then determined by a set of medical factors, you could end up dissolving the female category, Steinecker said. Take the point to its logical conclusion, and a football player can be categorised by anthropometrics, the practice of taking measurements of the human body. No transgender female is known to have competed in elite women's football. Quinn, the Canadian transgender male, became the first transgender athlete to win an Olympic medal when he won in the women's football tournament last summer, Tokyo Games. There's that man that plays football for the women. How to restrict participation in the female category is a highly contentious issue and is generally accepted that more research is required on testosterone and other biological markers that distinguish men from women. Simple. Blood test. XY chromosome, man, XX, woman, end of story. End of story. Doesn't matter what you do to your body. That's it. Simple. You have XX and XY and deal with it. Professor Roger Pilk Jr., an expert in sports policy based in Colorado, said FIFA would be showing strong leadership if they broadly stuck to their draft guidelines. My initial impression is that proposed regulations put forward by FIFA are a major step forward for policies that balance fairness and inclusion. Well, they destroy fairness and destroy inclusion because you're taking away all fairness for women and you have just excluded 51% of the population from sports. And I'm not going to go on with the rest of it because it's all utter bolax. What they're saying is you don't need to worry about your testosterone levels or whether you've got your ghoulies cut off. If you want to call yourself a woman, you're a woman. Go play football with the women. And in a few months' time, every woman's team will be filled with 11 men. No room for the ladies in sport, I'm afraid. And who says this? FIFA and the IOC. So, ladies, pack up your bags and bugger off home. Get back to the kitchen. Seems to be all you're good for, apart from giving babies. Boy babies. Must have boy babies. This is where sport's going. This is madness. This is wrong. This is immoral. It needs to be fought. It needs to be fought every step of the way. They are negating women left, right and centre and getting away with it because people aren't standing for it. Trans are a tiny, tiny, tiny minority. The simple thing is you just ban trans from sport. Rather than banning 51% of the population, the women from sport, just ban the tiny, tiny trans from sport. Or if they want to compete, they compete in their birth sex. Anyway, I'll round off, come up and finish the video. I am truly, truly at a loss as to why all these big international organisations hate women so much and want to exclude women from their sport. I don't know why they lack a spine. Why do they bow and kowtow to these mental people? They need to grow a pair, grow a spine, stand up and say, no. If you're born male, you're male. If you're born female, you're female. If you need a test, we'll give you an XY chromosome test. And that's it. And you can yell and holler all you like. But you've made your choices. You've made your bed. Live with it. But that won't happen because, as I say, you need a spine. And these people have no spine. They're too busy dipping their fingers in the corrupt trough of bribery and filth. Anyway, I shall round off there. If you like what you hear and see on the channel, please hit the subscribe button if you haven't before. Ring the bell for notifications of future output. Leave a like, leave a comment. And until next time, dear friends, Stay safe, stay well, and goodbye.